Welcome back to Olsons SpeedShop. Thanks for tuning in. Give you a little update on where we're at. I think the last time I talked to you, we just pulled out the 4.3 out of the 94 S10 shop truck. And here's where we're at. So, this is the motor going in. This is the motor that came out. If you can look here, all this stuff, that's all bearings from this piston. Now, let me show you a quick way you can tell if you've got a rod knock. I don't think I've shown this before. Basically, if you get your oil pan off at this point and you think you have a rod knock, you probably have a rod knock anyway. But if you grab this connecting rod and you try to wiggle it back and forth, see, that one's tight, that one's tight, that one's tight, this one's tight, this one's tight. This one with the cap off, when this was up here, watch, see that? That is a rod knock. So when this cap was bolted on tight, it still did that. Now if you look at this connecting rod cap, there is no bearing in there. No bearing whatsoever. Usually there's a bearing here that runs on your crank. This is the bearing. All the bearing is in here. That was this bearing. Quite impressive. When that cap was on, I've seen them where they've spun a bearing, but I haven't actually seen one with no bearing completely, like the bearing's completely gone. And that's where we're at on this one. No bearing was on it. It was knocking like crazy, full of bearing material, of course. I mean, it's even clear down into the oil filter area. If you look at this oil pan, you can see how nasty it is in there. It's full of metal. But we knew that this had a rod knock. We knew that it was bad. One thing I'm a little disappointed in is we tore the heads off it. We've got the head gaskets here. Now, looking at the head gaskets, just from what I can see, there's no blowouts from any of the water jackets to oil galleys. Was really hoping to find a blowout there. Same with the intake manifold gaskets. I looked at them really close. There's a few spots where it's like, that's probably it. But there was no absolute smoking gun on why this bearing spun. One thing we do know, oil filled with antifreeze. The oil always had antifreeze in it. But there was also oil in the antifreeze. So antifreeze in the oil and oil in the antifreeze. Another suspect is the radiator. If you look at this radiator, first of all, it's pretty bad as far as cleaning it. But right here is the oil cooler line. Your oil lines go in here, and it goes through an oil cooler. When I pulled them, I kind of half suspect that maybe the radiator, something was screwed up in the radiator, and that allowed it to mix between the two. Not sure. So, plan of attack is this engine's going to go in it. Now, we got a lot of work to do to this engine. We're going to put a new timing set on it. We'll put new gaskets throughout it. We're going to pull off these exhaust manifolds and put on those exhaust manifolds because they were in better shape. We just got through on this one. We had two studs that had broke, and we got lucky. We were able to drill them using an extractor. we got both of them out with a little bit of heat persuasion. So we're good to go there. But these manifolds are just in better shape than the engine that's going in's manifolds. So we're going to use them. The other difference on these two engines, one's out of a 94, one's out of a 95. The 95, the one that I got that's going to go back in, was plastic timing cover. It actually has a spot for a crank position sensor, even though it's full. There's no hole for it. I think they were prepping to get in 96 to go to the different engine style, and they had these. This is the older one, the metal one. Word to the wise, this sill on the metal timing cover can be replaced. This sill on the plastic timing cover cannot. You have to buy a whole new timing cover. You can even look right there. From the factory, replace assembly upon removal. If you remove this thing, you've got to pitch it and buy a new one and replace it. It's quite interesting. If you look at the difference in the holes, there's a lot more holes in this metal cover than there is the plastic cover. So what we're gonna do, I wanted to use the metal cover. I don't know why. I like metal better. And that's what came originally on the engine. And it actually has better timing marks. I just like it better all the way around. So we got looking, and I was wondering if it was going to have all these bolts in the block. You can see these two dowel pins, which go through there, and then all those. And the plastic cover didn't have this hole, I think, in this hole. But you can see here, we got quite a mess going in the shop. All the holes are there. Those are where the dowel pins should go. There's no dowel pins. I'm not worried about that. But all the holes are there. So when we replace the timing gear, I'll use the metal cover, replace the seal. So just be aware of that. Both of these engines do have a balancer shaft. You can see right here, that gear runs off your cam, which goes into it's got a balancer shaft. They both have it. I would prefer just not to have a balance shaft, but it is what it is. They both have it. Oh well, fine. We'll go with it. What else do we got? We talked about the rod knock. Basically we're tearing this engine down. We've gone through. This is a pretty decent engine. There are no there's no rod knocks in this one. Everything looks pretty good. There's no up and down. Now you will get a certain amount of side by side like that, and there's a tolerance for that. Don't worry about that. Worry about this way. That's where your bearing's going away. So, but yeah, that's where we're at. So hopefully we'll make a big parts order, get everything needed for this engine in one big fell swoop. I was saying about the oil and the antifreeze. I'm going to replace every oil component on here. All the oil lines. I'm actually going to replace the radiator. I'm going to replace the oil filter adapter here. I don't know if it's got metal in it. I don't know if it's got antifreeze and oil mix. I'm not even going to mess with it. I'm just going to replace it. They are cheap, and like I said before in the video before, those oil lines always leak. So I'll replace them and have a few months where they won't leak, and then they'll start leaking. No worries about that. So that's where we're at Olsons SpeedShop. We got a lot of tearing down and again a lot of cleaning. My least favorite thing to do, cleaning. I hate cleaning, but it's a necessary evil because I like putting clean stuff back in a good truck. So that's where we're at. Stay tuned. Probably next time I video, this thing will be buttoned up and we'll be be putting it in the truck. I'm hoping next weekend, but I haven't ordered parts. If I order them tonight, Saturday, I'll probably be putting this engine together next weekend, not in the truck. But if I get the parts Wednesday or Thursday, I might be able to bust some butt, get this thing all buttoned up, and then Friday, Saturday, put it in the truck. Saturday, throw her in the truck. I'm excited to get driving that truck. I'm tired of driving my big truck. I hate putting miles on it unless I'm towing something. So that's where we're at. Tune in next time, and thanks for watching. Appreciate it.